Hello. So this is my first live on YouTube, so I'm super excited. So I have got some videos on YouTube, but I haven't gone live before, so I'm thrilled to be here. So what I thought I'd do is I thought I would just do a little. I would share a little bit about my story and my binge eating story. So. First and foremost, if anybody watches the replay, give me a hashtag replay. And yeah, just if you've got your own story, please feel to share. So a little bit about me. So my name is Tanya Danielle, and I help people who emotionally, people who binge eat, and people who really want to change their body image. So they want to feel better about their body and how they feel about themselves and food. I really help people to feel at peace with themselves and really start to feel comfortable with who they are. So really start to feel comfortable within their own body and start to feel comfortable in their own skin. So with that being said, I thought I would share a little bit about my binge eating story. So I never ever had a very good relationship with food or myself or my body. Even from a very young age, I always remember, counting calories, always wanting to lose that last, little bit of weight, thinking that would change my life, thinking it would change how I felt about myself and it would make all my problems go away. In my head, I would think if I was slimmer, then I would be worthy and I would be, valuable and, I'd be accepted and I would feel amazing and I'd be really happy. And, that just never, ever happened. And the more I pursued this, perfect body and, pursued this weight loss journey, the deeper and deeper I got. So I was like getting deeper. And at one point, I think I've been through that many different stages in my life. I probably, I wasn't eating at certain points, then I was binge eating and I was emotionally eating and I was starving myself. I've gone through all these different phases in my life. But then what happened is I used to do quite a lot of drugs. So when I was younger, I did quite a lot of drugs. So did quite a lot of drugs. So I was like burying my head, burying my emotions, really kind of like drowning, how I felt about myself in a lot of drugs. And at that time, I was eating at some points and I wasn't eating at others because obviously, with the substance abuse and stuff like that. So I was like, I wasn't eating properly anyway. And then when I ended up in hospital because of, of the substances. And it massively changed my life. So this was a huge thing for me. So it was like, it massively changed me. It was almost like it gave me the wake up call that I needed. I needed to change my life and I needed to end up in hospital to make me do that. So I know that I needed to be in hospital and it made me, wake up. So I woke up in hospital and I thought, oh my God, what am I doing to myself? What am I doing to myself? If I don't change my life, I'm going to end up dead. So that day I walked out of hospital and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to change my life. And bit by bit, I started to look at ways I could obviously stop drinking, stop doing loads of drugs, and really start changing my life for the better. And I had to change where I went, who I hung around with, and I had to do all things like that because I knew if I didn't, I'd be dead. I knew I'd be dead. And also, as well, it's very difficult to go around the same places with the same people who were doing lots of drugs themselves. It's very difficult to not do drugs, and it's like you're sober. So anyway, cut a long story short, I then started to join the gym. So I started to join the gym and I thought, this is great. Joined the gym and I started getting really obsessive with like counting calories. And I was doing that anyway, but I was getting more and more obsessive. So I got more and more obsessive, counting calories. Really, I used to weigh myself every day, maybe twice a day anyway, but I was getting really obsessive with the macros and, how lean I was. And because I was very all or nothing anyway, bear in mind, I'd gone full speed ahead with the drugs and gone full speed ahead with the alcohol and gone full speed ahead with everything in my life, that I was very all or nothing. So when I went into the fitness industry, I went full speed ahead in that industry as well. So I was, at the gym twice a day, like in the morning and an evening, pop at least 2 or 3 hours each time. And I'd sometimes even go 3 times a day because I worked right opposite a gym. So I'd pop in the lunchtime as well. So it completely took over my life. And I was completely obsessed with being the leanest that I could possibly be. And I even, again, like I said, I was all or nothing. So I even got into fitness competing. So I got into bikini competing. I did competed in bikini models and stuff like that. And obviously for those type of things, you have to really, really, really cut back, restrict, limit what you eat and only eat quote unquote good foods. And it was at that point, and when I was prepping, bear in mind, I had been emotionally eating, I'd been binge eating before, but obviously when I went through the prep and when I went through the competition, so I started competing, this was when I was going through so many emotions. I had so much anxiety. It was unbelievable. My anxiety was absolutely through the roof. At one point, I thought I needed to be sectioned because if you can imagine all of your life doing lots of drugs and you've hidden how you felt for lots and lots and lots of years, right? Then all of a sudden you're not taking any drugs, you're not drinking any alcohol, you are not suppressing how you feel in any way, then all of a sudden these emotions come up. These emotions come up that you've been burying, they come up to the surface, right? They come up to the surface. And that's what happened with me. I'd been burying all these emotions for years and years and years. Emotions about, experience that had happened, memories that had happened, how I felt about myself, this anxiety. There were so many mixed emotions that was buried deep inside of me that all wanted to come up. And this is when it started to come up when I was sober, right? So I was competing, so I was restricting, and I had lots of emotions, boiling inside of me that I wasn't allowing myself to feel. And with the combination of the restriction and the emotions and the anxiety, plus how I felt about myself, I didn't like myself, I didn't like my body. I was constantly striving to be this perfect body and this perfect body shape. And I was constantly striving to be always changing myself to be something that I wasn't, because I was always trying to change myself. Anyway, then I competed and I got placed, which at the time I thought was, oh my goodness me, yeah, I got placed. I then got through to the British finals. But then afterwards, after you go eat what you want, and honestly, that was like a red rag to the bull. It was like I was a caged animal. And this is where the binge eating started getting progressively worse, unbelievably worse. And this went on for, oh God, maybe a year, 2 years, I can't really remember. And it was just, that time was probably one of the hardest times of my life. It really, really, really was. And it was also a time where I learned a lot about myself. And as much as it was one of the hardest parts of my life, it's also been a blessing, as much as so was the time when I ended up in hospital. So I got to a point where I'd been binging, like I said, pretty much all of the time, pretty much every day. I was even doing crazy things like going in toilets and eating in the toilet and stuff like that because I wanted to hide food. I didn't want to eat in front of people because people would comment and people would make judgment on me putting on weight because I'd competed. And it was all consuming. It was all consuming. So yeah, then I finally had another wake up call when I realised I went shopping one day because it used to take me hours to go shopping, and I realised that one of the nutritional labels was wrong. So it was wrong on the label. So I took it to a customer service lady, and I will never, ever, ever forget her face, the way she looked at me when I said to her, "Excuse me, this label is wrong." She looked at me as if I was absolutely bonkers. So at that point, I knew my behavior wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right. So I knew I needed help. So I reached out and got help myself. And I was in an eating disorder clinic for probably about 6 to 8 months in the outpatients. And again, as much as it was tough. I'm not saying it was easy, but as much as it was tough, it was probably one of the best experiences I've been through in my life, because for number one, it's led me to who and what I'm doing today. And number two, it completely, I've learned so much about myself, and I stopped running away. I stopped running away from who and what I was. And it's like, when you start to learn to accept who you are, this is when it's like everything changes. Because at the end of the day, if we cannot accept ourselves, who can we accept? Can we ever be accepted by anybody else? And can we ever be loved? And the answer is no. So if you are struggling with binge eating, please know that it can be resolved. You can truly find peace with your body and food. You really, really, really can find acceptance in who you are without doing these crazy fad diets. I promise you, you can find peace. You can find peace with your body and food. So I thought I'd share my crazy story. There is so much more to it, but anyway, I thought I'd share that a little bit for now. And if you want to know more, please reach out to me. And yeah. So, like I said, if you have watched this video, please give me a hashtag replay, or give me a like, or follow my channel, and I will come back with more tips on how to feel at peace, how to find peace with your body and food. Bye for now.